Hello everybody and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be showing you some landscaping and decorating tips and tricks. I will also be showing a couple of tips and tricks for taking photos in Animal Crossing, but that will be a little later in the video. To start off, we're going to be looking at stunting trees. I will show you how the trees look in all of their different stages and how to stunt them at each stage. The first one we're going to look at is the cedar tree. These are the 4 different stages of the cedar tree. First you have the really tiny teeny baby cedar tree. This is perfect for any kind of miniature village or fairy village. Then you have a medium small one, I guess you'd call it. Then you have the large, almost fully grown one, and then you have the normal standard cedar tree. Out of these 4 trees, I generally use the last 2 stages, so the big cedar tree and the large small cedar, just to give a bit of extra texture when I'm landscaping. And it gives a little bit of different heights and stuff like that, makes your forests look a lot more full. The way I've laid out these trees here as well shows you their growth by day. So after 1 day you'll have the small one, 2nd day you'll have the medium small, 3rd day you'll have the large small, and by the 4th day you'll have the big cedar. Now to stunt these trees, all that you need to do is just plant a piece of fruit in any of the 8 squares around the tree. It doesn't have to be behind it, but for most of my terraforming I keep it behind it so it's hidden. These trees can be picked up and moved in other places and replanted, and they will remain stunted, as long as you keep a piece of fruit planted in any of the 8 squares around it. If you want to unstunt the trees, just remove the piece of fruit and they will begin to grow the next day. Here I was just showing you that you can plant it somewhere else. And yeah, you just need to make sure that you keep the nursery fruit tree planted in any of the 8 squares around the stunted tree to make sure that it doesn't grow. The next are the hardwood trees. So these are the 4 different stages of hardwood. So you have the very small one, you have the medium one, the large small, and then finally the normal hardwood tree. And again, the same process, just make sure that you plant a piece of fruit in any of the 8 squares around the trees and they will remain stunted. These are once again in order of growth, so after the 1st day you'll have the small one, the 2nd day you'll have the medium one, the 3rd day you'll have the large one, and finally on the 4th day you'll have the fully grown hardwood tree. This is me just once again showing you that you can plant them in different areas. There's a couple around here as well. I think that's a stunted one next to me. Just showing you that you can move them around the island. The next thing I wanted to show were some dropped items. So there's a lot of dropped items that can be used in the game to add little cute details to different areas of your island. This is the green balloon, and as you can see when you drop it, it goes into like a cute little teddy bear lunch pouch almost. It's adorable. I use this quite a lot on my builds. There's also the mushrooms. This is another very popular one that I see a lot of people use. There's a few different varieties of the mushroom, so you can decide which one looks best in each area. A lot of you may have seen these items in game but not really known that you can actually drop them. So these are the lost items. Usually you can do like a little quest and find out who they belong to, but if you keep them in your inventory for a couple of days, then you can actually drop them on the ground and use them in your builds. So there's the 3 varieties. You just saw the orange pouch, there's this red book, which is probably my favorite one, and then also this blue journal, which I really like as well. The next little section we're going to look at unconventional placed items. So these are items that can be placed in the game, but I guess they're not classed as furniture items. One of the most popular ones that I use in a lot of my builds are the socks. I just think they add a little bit of color, like you can add a pretty pop of color in places, and you can also walk over them so they're not too obstructing. They're just a nice little cute detail that can really make an island very unique and pretty. Another unconventional item that I like to place with socks are usually some shoes. So as you can see, there was some outside of Bee's house there, and they also look really cute on picnic mats and blankets, so I use that quite a lot. I also like to use parasols around my island on the beaches and on picnic blankets like this one. The lacy one is probably my favorite, but I also like the petal parasol as well. I just think it looks really elegant, and it's just a nice little detail to add to any picnic or beach kind of relaxation area or sunbathing area. Next we're going to talk about weeds. I know some people don't really like to use weeds on their islands or in their builds, but I absolutely adore them so much. I think they're really beautiful. Weeds come in a variety of shapes and sizes depending on season, and this is a tall weed next to me. There's also the small weeds and then the medium weeds. Weeds will grow if you have less than 150 weeds planted on your island. If you have more than 150 weeds, they will no longer grow. If you're going for more of an overgrown island look, then definitely plant weeds in places that you want them to grow first. After you've grown the weeds in the places you want them to grow, then plant 150 other weeds around the island, and that will make sure that no other weeds spawn, and also that your tall weeds stay tall weeds. This is kind of a 3-in-1, this section, so this is kind of 2 tips and also a PSA not to sleep on the in-game paths. They are absolutely amazing. Not only can you place QR codes on them like this, you can also plant weeds, trees, anything you want on them, and yeah, I think they look really amazing. The other tip is that it is a lot quicker to place QRs down using the actual phone app rather than using the in-game terraforming thing, because it's just a bit more finicky. This is a lot easier. You just simply go into the design app, press display on ground on the code you want on the ground, and then it's there for you. I think this is a tip that a few more people are starting to realize, but you can actually place QR codes on your pier. This just adds a little bit extra to your pier. It makes it look a bit prettier, a bit less plain and bland. It also means that you have a couple more design options for your pier, so you can have a picnic area, you can just have a little seating area, you can just add whatever you want to it. For this area, I just added some lacy rugs onto the pier. I had a little circle one that I thought I would put a street lamp on, and then I thought it would be quite cute to have a piano up here with a little piano bench. The next thing I wanted to talk about briefly are flowers and how to make an area look really overgrown and full of flowers. To do this, I usually just use a bunch of different types of flowers in a similar color to get the kind of overgrown and natural feel. What I try and do is not have any of the same flower touching directly. They're okay to touch diagonally, but directly it does not look as good. I like to have at least one different flower between 2 same flowers, so you can see that a lot in these flower fields that I'm showing you now. My next quick little tip is about fencing. I like to use single pieces of fencing a lot around my island. I think that having a long piece of fence can be a bit limiting and a bit claustrophobic, so using single pieces broken up by flowers or other items can really make an area look a bit more open. Also using different kinds of fences with one another. Some of my favorites are using the hedges with the tall vertical wooden fence and also the simple fence. Next, I'm going to talk about my first photo tip. So if you have a villager on your island that you really want to get in one of your photos, but you don't want to push them around because you don't want to make them angry and lose your friendship points. If you push a villager while in the camera mode, they will not get angry at you or even react. So you can end up pushing the villager as far and for as long as you like. You can even push the villager upstairs or across bridges, whatever you need to do to get the villager into the perfect place for a photo. Now this is a tip that I don't think very many people know about, and this is something that I learned very recently when taking pictures of my villager, is that if you want to get a picture with your villager's eyes closed, it can be pretty challenging, but if you whistle at your villager to look at the camera during that animation, they do blink twice. So if you take a picture during that time, then you're more likely to get a picture with their eyes closed. This is a tip for people who want to get pictures of their sky or pictures over the sea where you can see the sky. If you fly to a different island or have someone fly to your island, the aeroplanes will actually leave little aeroplane trails in the sky. It just adds something extra to your photos and makes them a little bit more unique and a bit more appealing, in my opinion. This final tip is just something a little bit fun for some of you out there. You don't actually have to upgrade your museum to get terraforming in the game. You can keep it as Blather's tent. I personally prefer the tent to the museum. I find the museum very bulky and kind of obnoxious, but I think this tent is really beautiful and definitely looks a lot better on natural islands. To keep it as a tent, simply don't give any items or any bugs to Blathers once he arrives on your island. And that's the end of my decorating tips video, guys. I really hope that you learned something today from this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does mean the absolute world to me. I'm hoping to release some more videos in this kind of style in the future. I just need to find which tips and tricks I would like to include next. Other than that, guys, I will see you either in the next island tour or the next live stream. Bye everybody!